folks, I figured I'd do a test fit even before I got everything together, because I want to go ahead and do the front mounts. And so far we've run into one thing. That is the filter. It's close to this mount that used to be there for the motor mount. Now the motor mount, as you can see down low, possibly, is lower on this one. Now this plate goes all the way down about a foot. So if we can come off the side of the plate lower with another plate and build us a mount, that wouldn't be an issue. I don't know. I'm going to cut it close on our line here in that mount. We may have to unbolt from the engine. But for now, what we're going to do is cut out for the filter. I'll go ahead and torch this out real quick and see what we got to do if we're going to have to pull the motor mount off. There's a bracket they've got on it temporarily. It ain't much of a mount anyway, so. But everything else is looking pretty good. Hopefully it's got to go back a little bit. There's no problem there. Inch and a half. And the pulley should clear because we're keeping the crankshaft in the same alignment height-wise as it was. So we should be able to set everything up. Pulleys are about the same size, so shouldn't be an issue there. So let's see what we can get figured out here. All right, folks, it looks like our engine mount is going directly on top of our return pipe, which is no issue whatsoever because we can take that engine mount off. It looks like it's made out of 1/8 inch plate anyway, and I don't like that, so it can go. And we're barely touching it back here. But looking at this, we can bring this pipe over, you know, just about an inch. So we will be able to, definitely be able to clear that. It's not going to come so close it's going to interfere with our filter. Our starter will still be easy to get on and off. You know, nothing seems to be an entrapment issue anyway. And you know, we're about lined up. Engine needs to kick a little bit out, but oil fill's going to clear. Everything looks like it's going to clear really well. And looking at the water pipes, I think I can turn this one thermostat housing around and face it this way. And that'll solve that problem. Now the other pipes are in just about the place it needs to be. And then we're gonna build an alternator bracket right here because this didn't have an alternator at all. It, I assume charged off the bus or started off the bus. So this idler will be going. There'll be an alternator here, and we'll try to keep it in to where we can, you know, enclose it. But I mean, we're looking at. Let me see if I can. I've got the cover for this thing, but we're looking at you know, this thing sits up pretty high, so I think there's going to be plenty of room for a GM alternator there, and still be able to get the cover back on. Now, like I said, he's been operating without a cover on it for a long time because of the heating issues, but I think we're going to solve most of that when we run the exhaust. I think that was really a lot of the problem, was the big heater right here, if you don't remember, was mounted right here, and which is fine, but I think there was supposed to be some covers that really insulate that good and fireproof stuff, and then, you know, to keep the heat out. And we might do a little work on the big cover that we put on it to get the heat to divert out. We're just trying to make things better. I mean, that's it. Now, I have not done the engine mount. I just want to set this in. I just got a little curious of what we was going to have to do to make things go the way I want them to go. And so far so good. The muffler hole, as to whether we put a muffler back there or not, I don't know. We're going to see. And you know, I'll do a little bit of research online about this and see, you know, what other people's done and what kind of problems they've had and stuff like that. For because I know, you know, it was my understanding was this is, you know, there was heating issues with these things. Okay, folks, in place. I stuck the bolts down on it. Now we're just going to try to. I got a block under it right here to hold it up level, and that'll give me an idea on my mounts. But everything clear on the hose. Looks really good. Don't see any issues. So everything's working out really well. No problems at all. So we're going to get to figuring on the front mounts of what we're going to do. And let me see if I can get to where I can show you this back side. Down here is the mount. There's the original spot. So we're really low when it comes to where the mount is at, but there's more places to bolt. Or we can redo a mount. The bolt holes are not much lower really. Right here. It'd be hard to do a mount that just came up and out over top of here and a single bolt through it. I think that would be really easy to do. So that's not going to be a problem. We can take this mount off to get the measurement for the bolt holes. So, and then we can just put a new hole in our bracket here and run a bolt and a lock nut on the bottom side. So that would pretty much solve that one. That would be an easy mount to do. On this side, it'll be a little harder, but if we do have two good sized bolts in the cover here, we could come off of and build a mount, and then come off of here where these yellow plugs are. These are bolt holes. Let me get one of these out and see what size they are. Alright, them are too small to do anything with. I wouldn't want to take a chance on that. Snap them off. So we'll have to go with some original holes down there, which we've got a bracket that's got the bolt holes in it. So like I said, we know what the distance is between them. Wouldn't be hard to build off of that. So we'll have to build a bracket that comes over this way, comes over from the bolt holes over, and then on top of here for our mount, and then we'll add a brace in from here over for our mount. That's probably what we'll do. Here's what we got. Here's our engine mount. Made it out of 3/4. I actually machined it down a little bit here because I have got their metric bolts, and I didn't have anything long enough to go in as far as I was, happy with. So I went ahead and machined it down. Now, hockey pucks, I machined them down, or turned them, and put a lip on them, put a big hole in it, and then we'll center these up, self-center in there, and then made a washer to go on the top side. And this sits on top where the mount used to be and bolts directly to the block. Now here's what was on it. That's just a little 3/16 bracket, but the reason I used the heavy stuff is because I had it. I already had it, cut the width and everything, so I just will use it. So now we've got to get this one on the back side of the engine, or the inside of the engine, and then we're going to address the last motor mount, and then we've got to pull the engine back out. We'll have to drill the hole for this. Okay, here's our mount. It's on down there. And what are you doing? No. What are you doing? So this has been CAT scanned and approved. Okay folks, since got that mount done, we've got to do this mount. This is going to be the rough one. Now as you can see, I've got a piece of wood in here holding this up exactly where I want it. And we're building the mounts to it, and then once we take it out, it won't go down any because of the them hard pucks. It's not going to really smash down much at all anyway. So we've got it set up where we want it. Now we just have to build a mount coming from that one up this way, and it's going to be a little tougher to work with, but we can do it. I don't know, I may just go with the one bolt down here instead of both. If I go to both, it's going to put that motor mount right at the back of the starter, and you're not going to be able to get the starter off without taking the motor mount off. We really don't want that. So I think I'll just go through one of the holes and then come off and come into both of these holes with a small bracket. Okay, well if you can see, I'll show you what we've done here. Put a bracket from the first motor mount bolt up to there. Made a bracket, bolted it on, and then bolts go all the way through into the block, so they're good and strong. And then we welded the piece on here, so that gives us a good flat right here to come off of to build our bracket for over here. Now we may, there's a couple of ways of doing this. I may cut this completely off. I probably will cut this completely off and lower it down. That way we don't have to come up and then in. We can come straight off of our plate straight off of our plate down here. And then we'll probably just make it, and then we'll bring this piece up to it where we need it, and then weld it on, because there's nothing under here that's going to get in our way for 5 or 6 inches. So we're good to go there. I think that'll make it much easier, a little cleaner, make it look better. But that's a good bracket right there. It's 1/2 inch. Come off here with 1/4 inch with this plate, and like I said, double bolted it. I'm going to take it off and weld the inside of it and grind it, and then it runs back to the single bolt. And like I said, I didn't want to extend it back because I don't want to have to take the engine mount off. And I don't know whether you can see, but where that one bolt hole is, right close to that starter, if I would have bolted that on, I got a good mind that the starter would have had to be, or the motor mount would have had to been taken off. And I don't want to have to do that. We're trying to make these work on. Now the oil filter will have to be taken off. That's not an issue. If you put a starter on it, it's going to be a good time to service it anyway, which I've got to service it before we start it back up anyway. And this thing's got a nice setup. It's got, you know, really easy to get an oil pressure on there. It's real easy to get a temperature gauge on it. So we're going to run new gauges. This thing will be like a new machine here when we're done. All right, folks, I got this one cut off. So now we're going to put this one on. And I don't know if I showed this one or not now. Anyway, that's what we've got. I haven't ground it or anything. I got to grind it, get it clean, get it ready to weld. But we're going to get it welded on in place and get us a plate made for the other side, and then we'll be able to be done with this side. All right. Okay. So we've officially got this mount on. It's welded on. Now I made a plate for the bottom, and I've got it welded on. But I'm gonna, of course, finish weld it when I get the engine out of it. And now we've just got to mark the hole for that mount, and so we can drill it when we get it out. I'll mark it really good because it's going to be a lot easier to drill with the engine out. And that's it. It'll be ready to go. And fuel line's out of the way. I'll show you our clearance under it. Might can see it, but anyway, felt like it was originally. So everything's good to go. So now engine comes back out, and then engine goes back in, but it goes back in permanent. So I think we're ready. A couple minutes we'll have it out. Go ahead and start getting everything tied up on the back permanent. Maybe paint a few things, put some Loctite on, redo this mount, make the exhaust flange, that way we can bolt the exhaust manifold back on. And we're just gonna point it straight down, but we want to just get the measurement for the flange, and I'll show you it in a second here. Okay, so here's the original exhaust for the Cummins engine, laying over here getting sand on it, but they had put the bolts back in it, so we just need to make a flange that bolts onto here. We're not going to worry about running a gasket. We'll just do a good machine surface, clean this surface up, and we can put some copper stuff on it if we need to. The gaskets we can reuse, they're steel, if we even need to use them. Anyway, we'll get this flange made and do the center hole in it, but we won't do our pipe in it yet. We can always weld the pipe on and take it off and get it figured out. Is it good, Nina? Oh, I think it'll be alright. So, alright, CAT scan and approved. So, alright, till next time. Appreciate everybody watching. Bye.